Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we'll be going through 5 of my essential landscape photography tips to improve your photos, and I guarantee by the end of this video you'll be able to take more impactful and beautiful landscapes. Tip number 1 is trying multiple compositions, and I'm sure you guys have heard of this all before, and it's for good reason. When getting to a location, most of the time your first composition won't be your best or your favorite. Look for multiple angles and really get to know your environment better. When you get the composition you feel like you're the most happy with, I recommend staying there because the weather changes very fast, and if you're shooting at sunrise or sunset, the lighting in the scene could completely change and transform your photo. But obviously I understand that sometimes you just get really bad days, completely overcast or really sunny, so stick around to the end of the video and I'll give you a tip on how to fix that.
So here we have a few examples of when I went to these waterfalls here in Tasmania. This was one of the first compositions I took. As you can see, not the best. Playing around with shutter speed, started off with 1/8 of a second, then coming over here, 2-second shutter speed. I really liked how this made the water look, and I still wasn't happy with the foreground, so kept on moving around here, started finding elements that I liked. Still, this tree was blocking, and this ended up being one of my favorite ones here. This composition, I really like the balance of it. And here's a POV of me taking those photos, really moving around in my environment, trying to get different compositions.
Tip number 2 is finding shapes and patterns in your scene. This can be through using natural elements in your environment to your advantage. This can be through tree branches, it can be through rocks, and the purpose of these is to frame a subject or lead your eye towards something and be visually appealing. The purpose of using shapes is really to complement your compositions. These shapes can mimic things like animals, like it could be a rock or a tree in a cool shape of an animal. It could be a tree framing something, framing an animal. It could be framing a bird.
And here we have an example of this tree creating this frame for the subject here, and positioning it like this really brings the viewer's eye in a circle like this and highlights the subject here. I also did a very similar thing up here, and I really just like how the trees curve like this, branches curve, and they can really lead your eye. And here's a fun example of this, where this glacier I thought was mimicking a shape of a seal.
Tip number 3 is what emotion or what story are you trying to tell in your photo, and I really believe this is one of the most important tips on this list. And what I mean by this is, when taking your photos, try imagine your photo as the cover of a book, and really think, what would this book be about? What emotions am I trying to convey through this photo? Could this be through the use of colors? You could be using green here to highlight the beauty of nature. You could be using really dark colors, really dark blue highlights, purples to really create a ominous mood, sad. It's really endless.
So in this photo here, it was really foggy and quite ominous, and I really like this structure here, so I chose to edit it with a lot of reds to give this sort of scary feel and really elevate those emotions that I wanted to portray here. As you can see, it looks like you're wondering like what's beyond the fog and what the purpose of this structure is. In this image, I wanted to create a scene to really bring out the emotions of freedom and peace, and I've done this through taking the edge off the colors. So in the tone curve here, bringing this bit up a bit, so from there to about there, and also reducing the clarity here, so from like this really sharp down to this, which creates a really dreamy warm glow effect for this image.
Tip number 4 is creating a fake source of light, or like a fake sun. There's always an instance where we feel we've got the composition nailed, but the light just isn't there. This is where we can use filters like luminosity masks, graduated filters, radial filters in Lightroom, and easily boost your photos.
And here's an image where I was really struggling for light. It was getting quite dark here. See, I was already bumping my ISO up and my shutter speed was pretty low, and I was only shooting a handheld, so quite a dark image. But after the edit, look how much brighter this gets. And this is a lot thanks to this filter here. This graduated filter, I'm going to reapply it now for you guys to see. Just like this in Lightroom. Drag it down, and all I'm doing is sliding this temperature over here, making the image warmer, maybe a bit brighter, and this completely elevates the image. And here we have another instance where this photo, it looks like there's really bright beaming light, nice almost golden hour sunshine, but really it's just this radial filter here. If I move it across, very dark, it was like pretty much sunset and I was really running out of light here, so this really saves images.
This small thing can significantly improve the feel of your images, and I feel like it's really overlooked and can transform the whole feel of your image. It can go from completely dull and dry to something like this where it looks warm, it looks full and way better, way more complete. Tip number 5 is find inspiration. Who are your favorite photographers? Have a look at their photos and think to yourself, what do they do best? Why do I like these photos? For landscape photography, my favorite photographers that I gain inspiration from are Michael Shainbloom, Nigel Danson, and Will Patino, just to name a few. I look at their images and I think to myself, what is drawing my eye in this image? Where's my eye led? How do they make me feel? And what parts of these photos can I incorporate into my own to make them better? And I think most importantly, never say you will never be able to take photos like them, because it is certainly possible. We all started from somewhere and they were all beginners like we were at one point. And that is all for today, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you got something out of it, and comment down below if you have your own essential tip that you believe is important to your photography. I'd love to see it. And I believe if you take note of just one of these tips today and implement it into your photography, you'll be able to take better landscape photos. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.